What is going on, everybody? Been a diehard Pistons fan since '03 and eager to see this team getting back to playing winning basketball. In this video, we're going to talk about the Pistons' last remaining open roster spot, what they possibly could do with that roster spot, and talk about the 5 players that I think would be most suited that are still free agents to fill that role. Before we get into it, quick little update. If you guys were curious where I was this past week, I did have to get a root canal, unfortunately. So if you were wondering where I was or my jaw movement seems weird, that is why. Going forward, I should be back to posting full-time regularly, even though I'll be traveling this week. Now, before we get into the list of the 5 players that I think are most suited, I do want to give a shout out to 3 guys who didn't make this list who I think would be good enough. And that would be Devontae Graham, Davis Bertans, and Isaac Okoro. Isaac Okoro would be better than any of the options we talk about here, but he is a restricted free agent. I really have no idea what's going on in that situation, and I just don't think it's possible for us to get him. But realistically, he would be more useful than anybody we talk about today. And also, we don't have to use this last open roster spot on a free agent. We could hypothetically go into the season with this open roster spot and then use it for leveraging a trade situation later on in the year. So to start the list off, we have Gordon Hayward, who is now 34 years old, coming off averaging 10 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. If the Pistons want to double, triple, quadruple down on bringing in veteran leadership, Gordon Hayward might be a good option. He, of course, was traded to the Thunder at the trade deadline last year. Was not too happy with the role he was given there, which makes me feel a little bit uneasy because I feel like if he were to come here, he probably wouldn't be getting that many more minutes behind guys like Asar Thompson, Simone Fontecchio, etc. But if they do want to get a guy who has been around the league for a long time and has seen a lot of things in this league, Gordon Hayward might be a good option to add to that veteran core they've already brought in with guys like Tobias Harris, Tim Hardaway, etc. Number 4 on this list is Talen Horton-Tucker. Now, he is 23 years old, which is shocking to me because it always seems like he's older than he is. He's coming off a bit of a down year, not a great year, only averaging 10 points on 39% from the floor. Now, he's kind of a swing guard. He has taken minutes at point guard before and can play off the ball a little bit, but I'm just not that high on THT, and it seems like the league isn't either, considering that he doesn't have a team yet. There has been some rumors that he has had some talks with the Mavericks and a couple other teams, so not sure if he's on the Pistons' radar. But when I say that I'm low on THT, I still think that he's well worthy of an NBA roster spot and can actually play some minutes in this league. I just wouldn't want to see him like being a priority starter or anything like that. But if the Pistons want to take him on a flyer for, a guy who's going to be towards the end of the bench, I think that he's even better than most of those guys in that role. So would not be upset to see him show up and fill in that last roster spot at all. At number 3, we have Patty Mills. Now, Patty Mills is also on the older end, would be another one of those veteran presence type of signings. He's 35 years old now. He's down to 13 minutes per game and only 4 points per game last season on 2 different teams with the Heat and the Hawks. But the thing about it is it is the Olympic year. The Olympics are about to start. And everybody knows that when Patty Mills puts on that Team Australia jersey, he just goes absolutely insane. So there might be some odd chance that we see him just ball out at the Olympics and think, you know what? Maybe he's still got a little more juice left. Bring him in, add in that veteran presence as well to add to the core that we've already talked about. And maybe he might be the perfect guy to fill out this roster for the 15th roster spot. Just a thought. Now, coming in at number 2 is a guy who I always have a soft spot for, and that is former Piston Luke Kennard. Now, the reason why he isn't number 1 on this list is just due to fit, because we do have quite a few shooting guards now between Jaden Ivey, who's kind of a swing guard, of course, going and getting THJ, and then also adding Malik Beasley. I feel like that's just a lot of overlap in skill set with those guys, especially Tim Hardaway and Beasley. But the thing about Luke Kennard, man, is he can shoot the ball, and in today's NBA, I don't feel like you can ever have enough shooting. He was 45% from 3 last year, 44% for his career. He led the league in 3-point shooting percentage in 2022 and 2023. And like I said, I just feel like you can never have enough shooting. Whatever about everything else about his game, the Pistons have had so many bad shooting rosters over the past few years since we've had Cade. I feel like if they just want to get him to add to that shooting that we've added already, they couldn't be a bad thing. The only thing is the shooting guard position itself is already one of our deeper positions where we have 3, possibly 4 guys who are going to be competing for minutes in that role. So I just don't think he fits as well from a position perspective as who's number 1 on this list, and that is Marquel Fultz. Now, Marquel Fultz, of course, is a point guard, former number 1 overall pick. You guys know the story. He's still only 26 years old, and he's just had a really weird career to date. Last year, he had a big drop after he kind of lost his starting spot to Jalen Suggs. The year prior, he had probably his best year as a pro, averaging 14 points per game on 51% shooting from the field, but that dropped down to 8 points per game last year as he transitioned into a bench role. Now, of course, he would probably almost certainly positively be coming off the bench for us as well, but the thing about it is he's only 26 years old, and we really kind of have just a glaring open spot in that backup point guard role, just because right now we're looking at it either being Marcus Sasser or Jaden Ivey, and a lot of people have questions about them as point guards, not necessarily as players. I know there are some people who question either of their talent. I definitely don't, not at all. I think Jaden Ivey and Marcus Sasser both have spots in this league. Jaden Ivey even more so. Made plenty of videos talking about how high I am on him. But neither of them are true blue point guards, where Marquel Fultz is a point guard through and through. If Marquel Fultz comes here, I would almost be certain that he would be the lead backup point guard. When he checks into the game, it's probably most likely when Cade's getting a breather and he'd be initiating the offense. And if he could play the same exact way that he played 2 years ago, where he was averaging 14 points per game on that Magic team, he would be one of, if not the best, backup point guard in the league. So I would be all for bringing in Marquel Fultz. I know that Tyus Jones was a very popular person that people were rumoring for the Pistons to go get to fill that need. But of course, he did just recently sign with the Phoenix Suns. So right now, when I'm looking through the available free agents list, the Pistons have 1 open roster spot. I feel like Marquel Fultz fills that out the best. The thing to remember is, though, we don't absolutely have to go get anybody. We do have $11 million in cap room left, but we don't have to spend that, and we don't have to fill out this roster with a 15th guy, because we could technically start the season with the roster as is, and then that does add trade flexibility. So later on in the year, if we want to go ahead and trade, say, any sort of 1 single player and get back 2, we wouldn't be in a situation where we have to waive a guy to make room or anything like that. So we could technically start the season as is. But if we do go ahead and add 1 more player to this roster with an available free agent, I think Marquel Fultz or Luke Kennard would be the answer. Let me know what you guys think. I'm back now full time. I just had to take a week off to get this little tooth thing fixed, so should be back to normal. Appreciate y'all.